The cycle of life, a chicken farming journey from a single egg to a basket of eggs. In the long history of human agrarian civilization, the chicken has always held a unique and indispensable place. It is not only a delicacy on the dining table but also a vibrant symbol of life in pastoral living. The clear crow at dawn and the clutch of warm, fresh eggs all speak of the miracle of life's propagation and the joy of nature's bounty. However, the path from a carefully nurtured hatching egg to a hen that lays eggs reliably is a long one, filled with science, patience, care, and management. This article will take you into this fascinating process, offering a panoramic view of the complete life cycle of modern chicken farming, from incubation and brooding to growth and egg laying. Part 1, The Prelude of Life, the precise journey of incubation. The starting point of all life is a fertilized hatching egg. This is not the common edible egg found on supermarket shelves but an egg laid by specially bred breeder flocks, following natural mating or artificial insemination between healthy breeder roosters and hens, an egg brimming with the potential for life. 1. Selection and storage of hatching eggs. The first step to successful incubation begins with the strict screening of hatching eggs. Qualified eggs must be of moderate size, uniform shape, with a dense and even shell structure, free from cracks and stains. Eggs that are too large, too small, too long, too round, or those with thin, brittle, or pimpled shells are culled, as they often have low hatch rates or can easily lead to chick deformities. After selection, the eggs are briefly stored at temperatures of 12 to 16 degrees Celsius and around 75% humidity, generally for no more than 7 days, and need to be turned daily to prevent embryo adhesion. 2. Setting, the art of temperature and humidity. When the eggs enter the modern incubator, a 21-day life magic show officially begins. The incubator is a precise device that simulates the brooding environment of a hen, with its core controls being temperature, humidity, and ventilation. Temperature, this is the most critical factor in incubation. Throughout the incubation period, the temperature must be steadily maintained between 37.5 degrees Celsius and 37.8 degrees Celsius, with an error margin not exceeding 0.1 degrees Celsius. Excessively high temperatures can cause embryos to develop too quickly, becoming weak or even dying. Temperatures that are too low will slow development and prolong the incubation period. Humidity. During the early stage of incubation, days 1 to 18, humidity is controlled at 50% to 60%, which facilitates the slow evaporation of moisture inside the egg, providing a suitable physiological environment for embryonic development. In the later stages of incubation, days 19 to 21, commonly known as transfer after moving to the hatcher trays, humidity needs to be increased to 65% to 75%. This is because higher humidity softens the eggshell, making it easier for the chick to pip, and prevents the chick's down from sticking to the shell membrane. Turning, mimicking a hen gently turning the eggs beneath her with her claws, the egg trays inside the incubator automatically rotate every 1 to 2 hours, at an angle of about 90 degrees. This action is crucial, as it prevents the embryo from sticking to the shell membrane, ensures even heating, and allows for adequate nutrient uptake. 3. Candling, glimpsing the pulse of life. On the 5th and 18th days of incubation, 2 important candling procedures are carried out. Workers use special candling lights to look through each egg in a dark environment. During the first candling, the spiderweb-like blood vessel distribution and the small black eye spot, the embryo, are clearly visible. These are signs of a live embryo. Eggs without vessels, which appear clear and translucent, are infertile or early dead and need to be removed promptly. During the second candling, what is seen is a dark shadow almost filling the entire interior space of the egg, along with the boundary of the air cell. This signifies that a mature life is about to break free from its shell. 4. Hatching, the cry of new life. Day 21 is the moment to witness the miracle. Faint tapping sounds begin to emanate from within the incubator, that is the chicks pecking at the shell from the inside using the egg tooth on the tip of their beaks. They first pip the air cell, taking their first breath of air, then peck continuously around the air cell, forming a fracture line. Finally, with a strong push, they force the shell into 2 halves, and a wet, downy little life struggles into the world. Newly hatched chicks are very fragile, They need to stay in the hatching trays for several hours until their down is completely dry and fluffy, transforming into unsteady little yellow puffballs, full of vitality. Part 2, the care of growth, from brooder house to chicken farm. Leaving the constant temperature and humidity of the incubator, the chicks face the first and most critical challenge of their lives, the brooding period, typically 0 to 6 weeks post-hatch. The quality of management during this stage directly determines the lifelong health and production performance of the flock. 1. A warm sanctuary, preparing the brooder house. Before the chicks arrive, the brooder house is thoroughly cleaned, disinfected, and preheated 24 to 48 hours in advance. For chicks, warmth is a matter of life and death. Because their own thermoregulatory system is not yet fully developed and their down provides poor insulation, they must rely on an external heat source. Heat lamps or brooders are typically used, with the temperature directly under the heat source needing to reach 35 degrees Celsius in the first week, then decreasing by 2 to 3 degrees Celsius each week until it aligns with the ambient temperature, usually above 20 degrees Celsius. A good way to judge if the temperature is right is to observe the chicks' behavior. If they are evenly distributed, moving around freely, and eating and drinking normally, the temperature is suitable. If they huddle together under the heat source, emitting shrill cries, it's too cold. If they stay away from the heat source, panting with their beaks open and wings drooping, it's too hot. 2. Dietary initiation, first water and first feed. Within 24 to 36 hours after hatching, chicks need timely access to their first water and first feed. The basic principle is water first, feed second. Adding an appropriate amount of glucose and multivitamins to the drinking water helps them replenish energy, alleviate transport stress, and promote the expulsion of meconium. Waterers must be clean, plentiful, and at a suitable height so every chick can drink easily. 2 to 3 hours after providing water, first feeding can begin. Placing nutritionally complete, easily digestible chick starter crumbles on clean feed trays or paper will attract the chicks to peck. The feed during this period is typically very high in protein, 19% to 21%, to meet the needs of their rapidly growing muscles, bones, and organs. 3. Transfer, moving to a wider world. When the chicks reach 4 to 6 weeks of age, their feathers are mostly grown, and their ability to regulate body temperature is established. It's time to transfer them from the brooder house to larger rearing spaces. This could be traditional tiered cages or housing systems that advocate for animal welfare, like barn, aviary, or free-range systems. Cage rearing, highly intensive, facilitating management, disease prevention, and egg collection, while effectively controlling feed consumption and disease spread. However, space is limited, restricting the bird's freedom of movement. Barn/free-range rearing, birds have more space to move within the house and may have access to outdoor runs, free range. This method is more aligned with animal welfare principles, resulting in physically stronger birds, and the free-range eggs produced are preferred by some consumers. However, management is more challenging, with higher risks of disease and less controllable production costs. Regardless of the system, the transfer process requires gentle handling to minimize stress, and vitamins are often added to the water again to help the flock adapt to its new environment. Part 3, the daily watch, the art of scientific chicken management. Entering the growing and laying stages, daily management routines form the main theme of chicken farming. This is not simply a matter of feeding and watering, but a precise science. 1. Nutritional supply, phase-specific precision feeding. The formulation of chicken feed is precisely adjusted according to their growth stage and productivity. Growing period, 7 weeks to point of lay grower feed is used, with appropriately reduced protein levels, 14% to 16%, to prevent them from becoming overly fat and to lay the foundation for future high production. Laying period, a switch is made to specialized layer feed. This feed is rich in calcium, typically added as limestone or oyster shell, protein, 16% to 18%, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals. Calcium is key for forming eggshells, while protein and amino acids are the main building blocks for yolk and albumin. The feed form also transitions from crumbles to pellets. 2. Environmental control, creating a comfortable microclimate. An ideal poultry house environment is core to ensuring flock health and high productivity. Ventilation, this is crucial. It removes harmful gases like ammonia and hydrogen sulfide, excess moisture, and dust from the house, while introducing fresh air. Poor ventilation is a primary cause of respiratory diseases. Temperature and humidity. The optimal temperature for laying hens is 18 to 24 degrees Celsius. Excessively high temperatures lead to reduced feed intake, lower egg production, and thinner egg shells. Temperatures that are too low increase feed consumption as birds use energy to maintain body heat. Humidity is generally controlled between 50% to 70%. Lighting. Light acts as the switch regulating a hen's sexual maturity and laying cycle. Upon entering the laying period, stable and sufficient light duration, typically 14 to 16 hours per day, must be provided. The duration and intensity of light cannot be arbitrarily reduced, as this severely affects egg production. 3. Guardians of health, disease prevention and healthcare. Prevention is better than cure is the golden rule in animal husbandry. Vaccination program. From the day-old Mareks disease vaccine injection to subsequent vaccinations for Newcastle disease, infectious bronchitis, Gumboro, and others via eye drop, drinking water, or wing web stab, a scientific and complete vaccination program is the cornerstone for building the flock's herd immunity. Biosecurity. Strictly limit the entry of external personnel and vehicles into the farm complex. Personnel entering production areas must change clothes and footwear and disinfect. Regularly disinfect the environment inside and outside the houses, as well as equipment. Prevent birds, rodents, and insects from introducing pathogens. Daily observation. An experienced stock person spends a significant amount of time each day quietly observing the flock. They watch the bird's mental state, feeding and drinking speed, fecal color and consistency, respiratory sounds, etc. Any abnormalities, such as lethargy, ruffled feathers, isolation from the flock, or greenish diarrhea, are early signs of disease, requiring immediate isolation and diagnostic action. Part 4, Nature's Bounty, the mystery of the hen's egg production. When all conditions are met, the hen's body, like an exquisitely designed biological factory, begins its most miraculous mission, creating a complete egg. 1. Egg formation, a 24-hour marathon. The creation of an egg is a precise journey lasting approximately 24 to 26 hours. It begins in the ovary, which contains thousands of follicles resembling a bunch of grapes. Under hormonal regulation, a mature follicle, the yolk, is released and is captured by the infundibulum, funnel, of the oviduct. This is ovulation. Subsequently, the yolk enters the magnum of the oviduct, where it remains for about 3 hours and is enveloped in layers of thick albumin, egg white. Next, it moves to the isthmus, spending about 75 minutes forming the inner and outer shell membranes. Finally, it reaches the uterus, also known as the shell gland, where it spends the longest time, about 20 hours. The uterine wall secretes calcium carbonate, which is deposited onto the shell membranes, forming the hard eggshell. Simultaneously, pigment, if any, and the outer cuticle layer, bloom, of the shell are formed here. Once the egg is fully formed, under hormonal influence, it is laid through the vagina and cloaca, usually blunt end first. After laying an egg, a hen often emits a characteristic clucking or cackling sound, which is both an expression of excitement and possibly a call to her flock. After about 30 minutes of rest, her body will typically begin the process of ovulation for the next cycle, repeating this pattern. 2. Egg collection and grading. In large-scale layer farms, eggs usually roll automatically from the cage floor onto collection belts and are conveyed to a central egg handling facility. Here, the eggs undergo a series of strict processes. Initial sorting, cracked, leaking, misshapen, and heavily soiled eggs are removed. Washing and sanitizing. Food-grade detergents and warm water are used to clean dirt from the shell surface, followed by UV light or sanitizing solutions to disinfect. Candling. Eggs pass over lights again to check for internal defects like blood spots or meat spots. Grading. Eggs are sorted by weight into different grades like jumbo, large, medium, small, etc. Marking and packaging. Production dates, farm codes, etc. are printed on the shells, and then the eggs are placed into cartons and packaging cases, ready for dispatch to market. 3. The life cycle and flock replacement. A high-producing commercial layer will typically maintain her peak laying period, above 90% production rate, for several months. Afterwards, the laying rate gradually declines. By around 72 to 80 weeks of age, her economic returns often fall below the cost of keeping her. At this point, she is typically culled, replaced, making way for a new generation of pullets to take over, starting a new round of the life and production cycle. From the faint tapping sound inside the incubator to the loud clucking of a hen in the farm after laying an egg, this is more than just a story about growth and production. It is a symphony about life, science, and human ingenuity. It requires us to follow natural laws with rigorous attention, create suitable environments with precise technology, and, above all, to care for these lives that provide us with sustenance with a heart of reverence and compassion. Every egg that reaches our table embodies the hard work and meticulous care of countless poultry farmers. It is a testament to the cycle of life, a pastoral poem co-written by nature and human effort.